Hey, welcome to Viking Preparedness. I'm Pastor Joe Fox. Just got done mowing a little bit out there. And mowing here is not like mowing where you are. It's not flat. Uh, and I have to be careful of rocks because there's some big rocks sticking out. And when I started mowing the grass, it was about 2 or 3 feet high. Um, and because we've had a lot of rain and a lot of sun, and a lot of rain and a lot of sun, and I haven't gotten to it yet. So today I'm doing it. And I forgot where the rocks were from last year when I mowed. And then after this is up, I'm going to go weed whack and to get the stuff in between all the rocks that I couldn't reach. Those white flowers back there are blackberries. We have blackberries everywhere. We kind of try to take care of our naturally growing blackberries. We break out the old dead canes. Um, we weed around them. I throw mulch on the base of the stalks in the wintertime, and it makes them do really good. And we eat a lot of blackberries. So, uh, did I tell you this is like take five? The reason that I'm mowing is one, to make it look pretty because you deserve to be surrounded by beauty, and two, fire suppression. It helps if there's short green grass between you and everything else. Something else that y'all taught me that I learned was cut down all the branches within 10 feet of the ground. So I have a saw about this long, and as far as I can reach, I cut down the branches and then haul that away. That's really helpful because that way, if there is, y'all forbid, a forest fire that's approaching your house, typically speaking, especially since we're in hardwoods, the green trees don't burn. It just burns along the ground. But if you don't clear the deadfall and all the branches and stuff, they catch on fire and you could have flames, 3 or 4 feet high coming up, as opposed to this out here. There's no little sticks and twigs and stuff laying on the ground. So the only thing that would burn would be the leaf litter, and that only burns about this high. And then when it hits the grass, if it catches the grass on fire, if it's dry, uh, that's easy to put out. So it's not a big deal. It's not like the trees explode like in the Pacific Northwest where there are all these fir trees and stuff. So we're doing that. We want to make it look park-like. It's kind of our goal. We get into positions where Sister Kate will be like, "Don't mow that. The goats can eat it." And we probably have, I don't know, we're probably living on 5 acres. We have a lot more than that, but we're probably living on 5 acres. And of that 5 acres, I probably have an acre of grass kind of spread out here and there in strips along the road and up by the chicken coop and around the garden out there and this little bit right here. But it's not easy mowing. I told Sister Kate when I came in today, I said, "Man, it feels like doing CrossFit with like a light kettlebell. You're moving the lawnmower all over." And now I get to go weed whack, which will be fun. But hey, maintenance. I had somebody tell me one time I could never live on that much land. I couldn't take care of it. And, it would drive me crazy. Well, just take care of what you want to take care of. If you would rather live in suburbia on a quarter-acre lot, that's enough for you to take care of, then just take care of a quarter-acre around your house and let the rest just be natural woods. It's not a big deal. But we want to tame the land, but not all of the land, right? Just around where we live, where the houses are and stuff. And we have a couple houses that people decided they didn't really want lawn. They wanted kind of the more, um, bury's not the right word, hide the house in the woods kind of thing. And their gardening is in very narrow strips that they made like rock beds and then planted flowers in and stuff like that. And all their vegetable gardens are up here with everybody else's. So, things to think about when you're laying out your site. Where do you want the beauty? At one time, I said this here before, at one time, I was very much opposed to spending any money on any plants that did not provide us a direct benefit, meaning mostly food, but also some herbal type things, or, yeah, herbals. Um, I've come off of that. Planting bulbs that come up every year and start multiplying and irises that are popping up and stuff like that, it makes the experience nicer. So there's that. Okay, to the Ark. It's a little bit about the Ark. Noah was told to bring all the food in for all the critters, right, onto the Ark. And so, and a lot of you know this, but a lot of you don't. However much food you have stored for you, you should have that much for your pets. If you're a more advanced prepper and you have critters, you should have that much for your critters. It's a problem if you have cattle or horses that you have to regularly buy hay for. That's a problem. It's a fair problem if you have cattle or horses that you have to bale your own hay and deliver it to them. It's a mild problem because when the whole thing goes pop, uh, you're not going to be able to get big rolls of hay. I'm thinking, right? You won't be able to get diesel to power your hay baler, and just go from there. But if you have enough field that you can run your cattle, your horses, your goats on and stuff, you're still going to have to think about winter. Some of y'all here in the Ozarks, not so much of a problem. Yes, they do feed hay to their critters, mostly cattle. A lot of the people here with horses, and believe it or not, there's a lot of donkeys around here. Um, they don't feed a lot of hay even in the winter because they have big fields and it never really gets like bad here. Um, and so I do believe you could winter over uh, a couple cows on a lot of field, or a couple horses again on a lot of field. How much pasture, Pastor Joe? It depends on where you are, the conditions of the soil, and what you're growing on it, all that kind of thing. Um, we feed our goats hay in the winter, but we don't have to. They would live without it. We would just have to do more work of moving them further and further out into the woods, and they eat leaves. And they'll strip bark off trees, and they're like deer. Nobody's feeding these deer out here uh, hay, right? And they make it. But for your Fido, for your Frou Frou kitty, or whatever you have, I have a killer attack cat. Okay, whatever. Um, you need to have enough food stored up for them because too many people are weak. They're mentally, emotionally, psychologically weak, and they can't. I would never allow my fur baby to starve. They're also confused because they're comparing. I think it's the word again, conflating. Maybe not. I need to look that word up after this video. They're equalizing. They're saying human and animal life is equal. That's not true. That's just not true. Um, it's also not biblical. Um, But so what they'll do is they'll be like, "Oops, I don't have enough Friskies for my cat or enough dog chow for my little, wiener dog or something." Well, they can just eat a little bit off of my plate. Um, well, you just had less food to eat. You just have less food to eat, and then people say, "Well, I wouldn't want to live without my dog." And again, you have psychological issues that you need to address if you feel that way. I know I just made some of y'all mad. You'll probably quit. That's okay. That's what I think. You're more important than your animal. I'm not saying your animal's not important. I'm not saying don't take care of your animal. And quite to the contrary. I'm saying make sure you have enough food for your animal so they don't have to eat your food. Um, Noah did. He brought enough food on. That video that I talked about, DVD series, Backyard Food Production by Marjorie Wildcraft. I don't even know if it's still available. I don't know. But she lived in kind of a deserty area. Um, she would store up a lot of weeds and stuff. I think she fed her rabbits weeds. Like she would go out into that, and instead of weed whacking it, or maybe in addition to weed whacking it, take a little scythe or something and cut them food and feed it to them, and that's fine. And I think she was storing some of it for winter. Like making a hay pile or a haystack or something, because it's not around in the winter. So that's a pretty good idea. It strikes me that it would probably be fairly easy unless you had a huge rabbitry uh, to stockpile enough of the pellets to get you through at least a year. You know, there's a reason farmers would butcher in the fall, in the autumn. One was because it's cooler temperatures and the meat doesn't spoil as quick when you're cutting it all up and stuff. And the other reason is to reduce the herd going into winter. So I had less work to do feeding these critters. And then you come out the other side, the mamas have babies. Yeah, da, 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 da. But yeah, that's it. It looks like it's going to rain. I guess I'm going to do inside work. Um, think about your critters. Think about storing food for your critters. It fascinates me, and it's an OPSEC thing, so I wouldn't ask you to put down below. But when I talk to people in person, I ask them, how much food storage do you have? Like if you had to stay in your house and shut the door and not go out, or close the gate on your property and not leave, how many days could you go, weeks, months, years, whatever, uh, doing 3 meals a day, if that's what you eat, normal eating, how long could you go? It fascinates me the difference in the number I get from people. Uh, I'm hoping you're doing better than what DHS, Department of Homeland Security, FEMA, and the Red Cross all say, which is about a month's worth of food. They want every person, every normal citizen, to have about a month's worth of food, because they say have 2 weeks in your house. That's a leftover from fallout shelters. So that's a good idea. 2 weeks, you don't have to leave your shelter of your home. Have 3 days in your car. Have 3 days at your work. So let's just very roughly call that another week. And then have 3 days in a bug out bag. A 72-hour kit, grab and go. That's 3.5 weeks. That's almost a month's worth of food that they're telling the normal citizen to have. So having a month's worth of food does not make you a prepper. It makes you a good citizen. Uh, Preppers should have more. And I'd like you to give some serious consideration to that. If you buy the food that you normally eat, that will store. If you're eating out of your refrigerator exclusively, you're going to have to buy some food you don't normally eat, right? You have to have some kind of shelf stable food, crackers, canned goods, jars of pickles, jelly, olives, whatever. Um, Somebody asked me one of the questions, something about how do you store food in suburbia or something. Whatever they asked me, it was kind of like, maybe they said, how do you store food without going into long term storage food? Something like that. Whatever they asked me, it's in my book. So just read my book, Survivalist Family Prepared Americans for a Strong America by Joe Fox. Um, but my point is, uh, you should have a robust supply of food that you normally eat. We don't normally eat wheat, beans, and dried corn. We do eat a lot of rice. My long term storage is wheat, beans, corn, and rice. That's my long term storage, me personally. We don't break into those buckets, right? They're put away for Armageddon, man. One and done, right? Um, but we also have a robust pantry with, all the canned things that we normally eat. And we eat a lot of fresh. And going into this time of year, we eat almost exclusively fresh food. But we still have, canned peas, canned beans, canned corn, canned beets, the veg. Uh, we have soups of various kinds. We have tins of meat of various kinds. Lots of peanut butter, because peanut butter has protein and sugar and calories in it. Things like that. And then crackers. Crackers store almost a year, right? So you should have, several months worth of crackers. They're cheap, right? Whatever. However much food you think you need. Uh, Most of you can do that with regular food from the grocery store. Uh, Make sure you cover your pets. And it's a theme I hit, but a lot of us have mostly dogs. There's cat people out there too, but most cat food comes in a can. In my experience could be lacking, but that's what I found. Dog food, really, the best dog food for dogs is dry kibbles. Um, it's good for their teeth and everything, and it doesn't store great, so you have to have a plan for that. And I've said this here before. I bought cases of canned dog food, which is expensive and not great for them, but okay. Uh, I have a robust supply of dry dog food for them. We're talking hundreds of pounds. Uh, and then I have buckets that I've labeled dog beans and dog rice. And, I'll feed them that. And for all the very soft people in Western countries who are like, you can't feed that to your dog. It's not. You clearly have never lived in Southeast Asia where dogs exist on rice and what little garbage scraps they can pull here and there, and they're doing fine. They really are. And then we personally don't eat squirrels or rabbits. I still have a plan to raise rabbits for my dogs. No, we're not there yet. And we have squirrels and marmots around here that we don't bother, that I would start bothering with my 22 to feed the critters with because they're a tool. Our dogs are a tool. And so we need to keep our tool, our machine well fed. All right, looks like it's going to rain. Think about storing enough food on your ARK. Yeah, you also got to produce food. That's another talk for another time. You need to have enough stored food to get you through the storm for you and your critters. All right, I'll see you out there.